a quarterback. By the way, it's not just me now that's starting to throw out disrespect towards your quarterback. It's not just me, man. It's national media people, too, doing it and throwing disrespect at Jalen Hurts. So I was listening to a soundbite by Albert Breer, and he said that A.J. Brown's camp, and I'm paraphrasing here, that A.J. Brown's camp is doing their due diligence. They're doing the work. And if they're really going to continue to push for a trade, here's two things that A.J. Brown wants. Ready? He wants numbers, targets. He wants a better pass offense. And he wants a quarterback that can get him the football. I don't know how that's not shitting on the quarterback. That's not me. That's a guy who's plugged into A.J. Brown's people. Okay? It's there. It is there for you. How you doing? A.J. Brown's people want out. Now, I will say this. If I were him, I'd be very careful about wanting and where I might land. Okay? I might be very careful. Okay? Rumblings on Jalen Carter being traded and being made available for Maxx Crosby. Well, let me comment on that right now. And let me get back to AJ here. Let me write it down here. This is the second time now I've heard Jalen Carter's name being mentioned in a trade. I heard it with Micah Parsons, and I now have heard it with Maxx Crosby. I got to tell you, it's got to be a character thing now for the Eagles. It's got to be a character thing. And they're concerned about the player's character and about the player's motivation. You don't get rid of a guy like that unless you're nervous about the guy's character. Okay? So if you're hearing rumblings about that having Jalen Carter's name being mentioned in a potential trade package for Maxx Crosby, it's because they got a problem with the player and his character. Justin Herbert, Mike McDaniel, and the Chargers are perfect for AJ. Seem like that's a perfect destination. It does. Man, you're giving up on that player already. Plus, personally, I'm starting to believe that the Eagles don't want to pay that number. Wow. Eagles have made DT Jalen Carter available in a trade that could land Maxx Crosby. Eagles have floated the idea of including Jalen Carter in a Maxx Crosby trade. Now, until we start seeing a little bit more of this, but boy, it's got to be a character issue. Xander put my Carter jersey on ice for now. NFL players are not Eagles' soft-ass franchise. Seals, the goal is to get Crosby next to Carter, not sacrifice one or the other. That's not building an unstoppable D-line. Eagles are BBQ if this is true. Word on this. Now, remember something too. Wait a second. Actually, Steve's not wrong. Steve's not wrong. And I'll tell you why. You're in the land right now of make believe. So things that you hear, Steve's not really off here. Okay, he's not. They're people could float the idea. You know who may have floated that idea out? Drew Rosenhaus. Shields, how many good years does Crosby have left realistically? Player takes great care of himself. I disagree with John McMullen. I think the guy's a good football player. And and it's not that John doesn't think he's not a good football player, by the way. So who do you think AJ gets moved to? I'm still saying, okay, I'm still saying that he gets moved to New England. So we get rid of Milton Williams and then trade Jalen Carter. Big fail by Howie and the organization. Those mofos are seriously dumb. Prince, hang in there. I'm always a little bit suspect of the shit that I'm hearing now. Okay? Laurie wasn't happy about the spitting. I don't think he was happy about the play. And I don't think he was happy about the attitude of the player. I think the player is kind of making people a little bit nervous. I know this. I'll tell you this. If you got rid of Jalen Carter and you got something in return for the player, okay, and you got, I would want clearly Maxx Crosby, Jalen Carter, wow. What a fall from grace that would be with the Eagles, if depending on what they got back in return. Maybe they believe in Moro Jomo and Davis together. They're more reliable. So you see Rashawn Gary going to be released by the Packers. Gary's a better player than Phillips. How about this? I never thought of this. You're really getting rid of a $30 million a year player in Jalen Carter if you get Maxx Crosby. If you get Maxx Crosby, hell, the Eagles might draft another defensive tackle. Ever since the sex doll in the locker room, it was over. Fire Sirianni. Fuck Howie and sell the team, Lori. Baby shoulders not going to hold up. So here's what you got to worry about, Twiz. Twiz, think about this with think about this, okay? So you got to worry about the shoulders and the attitude. Let me take a look at Rashawn Gary. Let's see, Rashawn Gary. He's 28 years old, too. Wow, is he a way better player than Phillips? 9.5, 6, 9, 7.5, 7.5. And he's durable. Only 1 year he was injured, and that was 22. And he's 28 years old. I would clearly take that guy in the Philadelphia Eagles. His last 4 years, 6 sacks, 9 sacks, 7.5, 7.5. He's 6'5", 278. He's 280 pounds. He's 6'5", 280. So your bookends could be Rashawn Gary and Maxx Crosby. Man, I'm in. Sign me the fuck up. Draft another DT next to Carter, next to Davis. Plus, Davis gets a big bonus. Sills, if you were GM, would you be doing with AJ? Would you make that trade for Carter for Crosby? The AJ thing is more complex because of the money. The Carter for Crosby, it makes sense. They got a problem with his shoulders and his attitude. And I would think Vic has something to do with that. Now, look, let's be careful and let's play and let's stay in the lane that his name's being floated out. It might be Carter that's old man out instead of AJ. It could be flexing. Who would you rather get rid of, Jalen Carter or AJ Brown? Little off topic. You think it's all said and done, Ohtani will be the greatest ball? He hit that grand slam last night, and they annihilated Taiwan 13-0. I fucking watched that thing. It was stupid great. He is an insane ball player. How he's panicking? I don't think that. Shields, would you feel comfortable giving Carter $30 million? I'll wait. No way. I don't. I don't feel that. I don't feel. Okay. I'll tell you that would change my drafting too a little bit. Let me show you something here. So you got Jordan Davis in there, and you're going to pay him potentially $20 million. And if you do get rid of Carter and you make that Carter for Crosby deal, I'm not giving a one-up. I don't have to give a one-up now. And when I turn around then in the draft, and when I go down into the draft, and when I take that Florida kid at defensive tackle, when I take that kid Caleb Banks, that Caleb Banks kid is 6'6", 326. And he's compared to Dexter Lawrence, and he ran a 5 40. Okay? He ran a 5 40. You get him on a rookie deal. You're able to bring in Crosby. And you have a guy on a rookie contract. By the way, it's a character. So again, Daz is okay with the character issues and the injuries. Okay. Six, limited to 3 games due to broken foot, ranked top 5 in the SEC amongst pressures. Heavy hands, consistent force in the pocket, anchors the D line, displays rare quick and twitch abilities at 330 pounds. You'd be the biggest defensive tackle combination in pro football history with that kid Downs and Jordan Davis. It'd be the biggest defensive tackle combo I've ever seen. Carter's not a dominating player. He's not what people thought he would be. I'd hang in there. Seals, Bryce Huff was good before we got him. He approved us moving Reddick for that guy. Don't trust his opinion. Can you imagine having a 6'6", 6'6" defensive tackle combination in the middle? That would make me want to keep Nakobe Dean. That would make me keep Dean. By the way, if you move Carter, you keep Dean. You keep Dean, and you might be able to keep Jalen Phillips. You keep Jalen Phillips and Dean and Blankenship with that move. I will say I thought Carter would be better than when we drafted him. He's been good, but I thought he'd be the best ever to do it at that position. I've been screaming at Crosby for 2 years while getting shit on by J-Max of the world. The whole point is for Carter. Yeah, but if Carter regressed. I move Bond next year, Rob. I could pay Nakobe Dean $12 million then. If then the promised money of $30 million, I could split it two ways, Phillips and with Nakobe. Remember, when you sign somebody for money, someone's got to be moved. Always remember that. Someone's got to be moved. Like here, do you guys understand something? Why do you guys think that Milton Williams and Josh Sweat were moved? Why do you think they were moved? Because you gave contract extensions to Cam Jurgens. You gave extensions to Barkley. Who else did you give money to? And you paid Zach Bond $17 million. They had to move, though, 35, what was it? 26 and 20. You moved $46 million bucks, and you moved Huff. You paid all those guys with money you moved. Okay? When you went like this, 26 you let walk out for Milton, another 20 for what's his name? For Josh Sweat. You let loose Bryce Huff $17 million bucks. That's $63 million. You took that $63 million and you gave it to Cam Jurgens, you gave it to Barkley, and you gave it to Bond. You just move money around. And that's how teams do it. If you're going to pay someone, someone goes. I think, get this, I never thought they would hedge on Jalen Carter. But by the way, I don't think it's a stupid thought. I don't believe it. I believe Carter regressed because of injury. If he's healthy, I believe he returns. His character has nothing to do with his health. Shields, would you trade Jahad? No. For Marvin Harrison Jr.? Probably. But I wouldn't want to. If that makes sense. I think Campbell's going to be a good ball player. I like the kid. I have a problem with him, man. That's the least of my problems, Jahad Campbell. I want to get him on the field coming in 2026. If I wake up and see this trade go through, I'm going to fly to Philly and pick it outside of NovaCare. Let's just say Maxx pans out. Maxx has panned out. Carter hasn't. McKee, Brown, and Carter for Crosby, and that's way too much. McKee, Brown, Crosby for Crosby in a fourth rounder? Would this work? I have no interest in that. I'm not getting rid of my backup quarterback, A.J. Brown, Jalen Carter, for that in a fourth. If I gave up McKee, Brown, and Carter, I'd want the Raiders to send me a 2 and a 3. Jalen Carter has been everything we thought he was. Nothing, another player getting that much attention on our defense. Fake-ass fans. This guy's full of shit. That guy has not done that. Actually, he's had one good year, and he had players around him like Josh Sweat and Milton Williams. When those players left, as I said would happen, he regressed. He regressed with the amount of reps they gave him. He couldn't hold up. By the way, I want to see something here. Let me go into something else over here. I wonder if I can look this up. Kyle, are you in here? Kyle, I want you to do me a favor if you can find this. I want to know how many snaps a year that Fletcher Cox played. And I want to compare that to Jalen Carter's amount of snaps. And so that'll give us some context, Kyle. If everybody's full of shit about the amount of reps that the guy took, if he was in the same context and in the same room of how many reps that Fletcher Cox took on a year-to-year basis. Okay? Do you think something big will happen? It looks like it's maybe going to with either AJ or Carter. Carter's worth every penny of a max deal. Never in a million years. Okay? He had 683 snaps in 2023. Is that okay? NJ, is that Fletcher Cox's range between 720 and 750 for 13 years? So for about 13 years, is that right? Fishing Maniac. Okay. So for about 13, 14 years, this guy has had what? 7,500 snaps total in his entire career? About 750 snaps. Okay? That's pretty impressive over 14 years. Carter was on the team at 23 with Sweat and Milton. How did that D-line look? Because the middle of your line and your linebackers were fucking terrible. Your D-tackle and your linebackers were the worst in the league. How did that look? Your linebacking core was the worst in pro football. Obviously, I'm not a GM, but if I was, I'd risk it for a player like that. You'd risk $35 million? Okay? Now it's Carter's turn to get bashed. I'm not bashing him. Well, wait a minute. I am. Okay, Marsh, you think that guy fucking played well? You guys know how Howie is with his fifth rounders. This is a stupid take. Yeah, fifth rounders, I'm not talking that. So did you think he played well? As a matter of fact, right? Great question. Finally, someone asked me, Sills, would you move Carter? Whew. Well, wait a minute. Carter's name was mentioned in the Micah Parsons deal. So let me ask you this. One time you go like this. Let's just say Micah Parsons is full of shit. And let's go down that lane that Micah Parsons is full of shit, saying that he was involved in a potential trade that would have traded him to Dallas. Let's put the tea leaves together here. You see this guy here? Let's put the tea leaves together. Okay? Micah Parsons says that Carter was involved in a potential trade with the Dallas Cowboys to send him to the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's say it is bullshit. Okay? What did the Cowboys end up doing anyway? They got a better player than Williams. Or they got a better player than Carter. They got Quinnen Williams. Quinnen Williams is a better football player. So they went with the guy in New York, and they got the Jets guy, and they brought him in. And they didn't have to trade Micah Parsons to a division guy. Let's just say, oh, that's bullshit. Okay? Now his name's being floated out in the Crosby deal. Where there's smoke, there's fire. This is the second time his name's being thrown out in a potential deal that would move him. After a while, you got to stop going like this. It's bullshit. Carter is not untouchable. The money will dictate that he's touchable. And by the way, okay, Corp, why haven't they extended him? They have his rights for the next couple of years. Why wasn't that the top priority this offseason in extending him? I'll tell you this, too. How about this here, Marsh? I guarantee you they don't give him a contract extension this offseason that all of you people were telling me they were saving money up for and why you let Milton Williams go because you had to pay Carter. No fucking way are they giving him a contract extension. No fucking way. And why not? If he's so untouchable, why aren't they doing it? They don't need to do it right now? Why not? He's eligible. Howie likes to get in front of all that shit. Oh, I see. They don't have to But they always do. So if he goes out and balls, it's $40 million next year. Is that right? They don't have to. They don't have to because they don't want to, because they're nervous of the guy's shoulders and his character. Give me a break. How fucking dumb are you? When you want to do something and you like somebody, you do it today. You don't wait. That's a polite that's a polite reach around. Carter's immature. You never know when a guy like that is going to do something that could jeopardize his career and your team. Seals, you have some insight in Carter through Clint. Are you willing to tell us what Clint thinks about the kid? I understand if you can't. They think he's got a long way to go. Okay? You know why I'm great at it? Because they're not agendas. I don't give a fuck either way. Not agendas. I don't give a shit either way. Agendas. What agenda? Bro, the only agenda I have is if I'm being paid something at the end of the day. What agenda is that? I got no agenda on Jalen Carter? Are you fucking drunk? Who gives a shit? I got agendas when I'm trying to make dough. Jalen Carter's never trading JC away. Only way is if his injuries are worse than any of us are thinking. Agenda. In sports talk radio and sports talk broadcasting, I have agendas. The fuck does that mean? I'm not even sure what that means. What if Howie wants to lock Carter up and they don't want to do it? Get a haul from him now. If they don't think they can retain him, sell high. By the way, I'll also say this to you. Hey, Pump, I will say this, Pump. How about this? Hey, Pump, how about this here? What if they went to Drew Rosenhaus because they did meet at St. Elmo's? What if Howie came in with a extension kind of number and came in at, say, $27 million, and Drew Rosenhaus said, you're fucking $10 million off? How do you think that would push the Eagles narrative? Maybe there's a number the Eagles don't want to go with Carter either. You think of that? Don't believe these rumors for a second. Cowboys wanted Jalen Carter. Now the Raiders do. I mean, of course they do. How are we not trading him? Y'all can eat my ass. Yeah, we'll see how he plays and pans out. A long way to go here. He's 3 years in the league, one-time All-Pro, two-time Pro Bowler. Come on, he's better than 80 of the DTs in the league. Cam Jurgens made Pro Bowler, and he was a Pro Bowler last year too. Right there along the same lines. Both guys sucked last year. And both guys were Pro Bowlers. You know why, Chris, they made the Pro Bowl? Because they were on the Eagles. Big Sills. So if they don't keep Carter, you think will extend? Yes. I don't know about a Jomo. Jalen Carter on this team. I don't believe he's better than Bond. I don't believe he's better than Q. I don't believe he's better than Cooper DeJean. I don't believe he's better than Mulata. I don't believe he's better than Lane Johnson right now. He's not better than Devontae Smith. And he's probably the 11th best player on the team right now with his production of a year ago. If Howie trades Carter, I'm fucking done with this shit. Seals, you think Carter acts too much like Sue did in Detroit? I'm just skeptical about trading a younger. By the way, I didn't say trade him. I didn't say that. let's see here. I got to double check something too. 25. Bro. Let's see here. See, I got to double check something here on Carter. So let's see here on Carter. That's right. Exactly what I thought. Jalen Carter wasn't first team All-Pro this last year. That's not true. The defensive tackles were Jeffrey Simmons and Zach Allen in Denver. Those were the first teams. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and the second team guy was Leonard Williams and Cameron Hayward from Pittsburgh. Those were the first and second team All-Pro guys in 2025. So he did not make fucking first team All-Pro in 2025. Not true. 3 reasons. Seals, can't let you keep spewing Iranian-level propaganda about my precious Jalen Carter. Brian Pumper will not stand for this. No, sir, not today. Okay, Pump, give me a grade on how well you think he played last year. If the deal's right, yeah. If the deal's right, yeah. There's nobody on that Eagle team that's not tradable except for the only guy I'd have a problem getting rid of would be Jordan Mailata. That'd be the only guy I have a problem with. You can have the rest of them. But, again, you got really good players. Like, when I trade Jalen Hurts for what? Sam Darnold? No. Would I trade Jalen Hurts? No. Would I trade Jalen Hurts for Josh Allen? Of course I would. And you'd have to give me 2 1s. Would I trade Saquon Barkley? Of course I would. For what? Well, if I'm getting Kenny Walker, I might do it. I might not. I might keep Barkley over Walker. By the way, I would keep Barkley over Walker. Sills, you can have Kenny Walker. Or do you want Barkley? I'm taking Barkley. Kenny Walker's a nobody. I'm not enthralled with Kenny Walker. I think he's a good deal and a good player. Just because he was a Super Bowl MVP, don't make him one of the elite backs in the game. You think that guy's fucking, what, Bijan Robinson? Or the guy Gibbs up in Detroit? He's nowhere near Barkley and them guys. He's nowhere near Christian McCaffrey and that. Not a chance. Kenny Walker's a really good player. Giving that guy $20 million. They think because he won the MVP award, like you guys do with Hurts, that's a big deal when it comes to players and how people perceive them. Kenny Walker's a dude. I've asked about trading Carter multiple times over the past month based on his shoulder issues. There was no comment. Shoulder issues are bad news. I would absolutely trade him for a haul. Now, wait, again. People keep asking me would I trade him. Depends on what the deal is. How about this one? Let me ask you this. You think Howie listens to you think Howie listens? Okay? Ask yourself this. You think Howie listens when a guy calls on any player he has on the team? I do. No. No. I would not trade those guys. Justin Jefferson? Well, wait a minute. Pieters. I would trade those guys if you're offering me Justin Jefferson. Or you're offering me let me see, somebody in that room. Who's the guy in Baltimore? Who's the safety in Baltimore? Kyle Hamilton? Kyle Hamilton? Yeah, I'd think about it. Okay? Yeah, I would think about it. Patrick Surtain? Q? That's now you're thinking, yeah, maybe. Yeah, but I'm not trading Patrick Surtain for or a Q for anybody. JC played 1 billion snaps the year before you. He won the Rams game by himself, forced fumble and sack. Banana and tailpipe ass dudes in the chat. Yeah, and this year, Jordan Davis won the Rams game, didn't he? Jerry Jones squeezes a quarter till the eagle screams. Cannot listen unless someone absolutely untradeable, but seriously would kick in eventual. Yes, Michael. Why would you trade JJ? Hurts can't utilize him. Who says I want Hurts as my quarterback? Trading Carter would be stupid. Like I said, depends who it is. Like I said, guys, when you go into a jewelry store and you buy a Rolex and you trade a Rolex, you don't trade a Timex for a Rolex. And you're missing the point. Everything comes down to money. I had Tony Dungy on my morning show in Tampa this morning. You know what he said to me? I'll give it to you. Tony Dungy was on my morning show this morning, and he said, you know, when we did not want to trade Edgerrin James, it was Bob Irsay's favorite player of all time. Bill Polian came in and said this. This guy's one of my favorite players too. We have the money to sign him. But in 2 years, we're going to have to get rid of Dwight Freeney. We're going to have to get rid of Marvin Harrison and maybe even Reggie Wayne. Do you want that player that bad? Jeez. Tony said he prayed to God. He slept on it. Next day, Edgerrin James went to Arizona and grabbed a bag of money. So organizations move off of great people all the time. And remember, there's a salary cap. And for the record, I'm not trading that guy just for fucking a bag of Skittles. That's not what we're saying here. When you float a name like that out, you know what I immediately say? And you can fucking say whatever you want. It's a stupid idea, this and that. Well, let me tell you how NFL people think. What would trading Carter mean for my entire totality of my defense? Okay, I'll take that $30 million. I signed Phillips to the money that I would save. I get Phillips. I could sign Nakobe. Then what I do also is I draft a DT on a rookie deal, which saves me a ton of money there. And you look around coming up with Q and DeJean's deals coming up on potential deals. That's what they're looking at and how they're looking at it. How would trading Carter help me? Is trading Carter, again, with the issues that he has in shoulders and his attitude, and he'll have to have an attitude adjustment. Listen, do I think trading the player is the first choice? No, but I would listen. I didn't say trade his ass. Okay? You guys you have no idea how the NFL works. Yeah, by the way, why do you think the Jets traded Quinnen Williams? Why do you think they traded him? Why do you think they traded Sauce Gardner? Two dudes that were 25 years old. One, because they're stupid. Okay, I'll go there. They're stupid. Why do you think they traded him? Okay. Why do you think they did that? Because they're starting over. Me, I think that's dumb too. But it was a money move. It was a money move, and it was also to get draft picks. Look at the haul they got for Sauce Gardner. The problem with being the Jets is this. You could give the Jets 700 first rounders. They're not going to do shit with them. Williams and Gardner were luxuries that they needed to move to get better. Correct. Well, wait a minute. Hey, Bob, do you think Howie moving Josh Sweat and Milton Williams, the Eagles got better? Howie would launch a fart into the phone if the Raiders asked for JC. We have the best nerd in the business, and he's not going for that. He'll pick the phone up for anything. You know this. Do you think his shoulders could be deteriorating? I'm not a doctor, and I'm not going to play one, but I think it's a concern. Hey, by the way, we'll see if they extend him. You got all M. Reyes, all of you guys, B. Pumper told me that this coming offseason was going to be a haul. I think I even heard Xander say that this coming offseason or this last year, now things change. That's why you guys keep using the Eagles flip-flopped on this. It's not Xander. The Eagles flip-flopped too if they didn't sign him because you guys were all under the impression this was going to be the offseason of Jalen Carter. What happened? Now, again, you don't have to wait until free agency starts. You got the player under contract. Shouldn't that have been your top priority? If he everything Pumper says he is, why didn't you sign him to an extension? Why didn't you sign him to an extension? That wasn't a priority? Or is it priority 3? If I'm giving a guy $30 million, that's priority number 1, isn't it? Isn't that priority number 1? If Carter is moved, it's a medical issue. I think it's a character issue too and a money issue. Of course we did. We invent everything. I'll tell you what we didn't invent. All those douchebags now are looking at the Patriots offered a 2 and 3 for A.J. Brown. That's all over the internet right now. And we reported that yesterday with our friend who told us that the Patriots offered a 2 and a 3, not just a 2. So, yeah, invented it. This guy's a dumbass. You're wearing on me, bro. Where we may not be going to you ever again. Sills, no, but Sweat and Milton were expendable because of our cupboard is full with talent. The Jets' cupboard is bare. So let me ask you this, Bob. Let me get to a topic here. Look at I haven't even got to the topic here. So, Bob, question for you. Nolan Smith's failures are the reason that the Eagles are in the position that they are with edge. Is that right? Is that right? Bob, the reason that the Eagles are in this position is because Nolan Smith has failed. Well, that's a first-round pick. He failed. Or you'd still have Nolan. You're going to pay an edge rusher maybe $30 million with Crosby and 26 with Phillips. Howie failed at edge, right? In the first round. Right? If you sign Jalen Phillips to a $26 million deal, or you trade for Maxx Crosby, it's because Nolan Smith failed, yes or no? D pluses don't keep you in the league, but I like to take. Right? Howie failed at edge again. Correct? In the first round. Nolan Smith was supposed to be the guy that was going to solidify that position for the next, 5, 6 years? If you sign somebody or pay somebody and you had to already give a 3, get this, think about what you've done because of the failures of Nolan Smith. You gave a 3rd-round pickup to get Jalen Phillips, and now there's a potential that you're going to pay 26 to 30 because Nolan Smith bombed. Is that right? Would you agree to that? That guy was supposed to be your starter. Body failed Nolan? Bro, that's part of all of it. The bodies failed JAKIB. Hey, this is not personal. A lot of people like Nolan Smith. I like the kid. What's that got to do with winning? And I would agree, Jalix Hunt developing has made Nolan Smith expendable. Okay? You're going to see a lot of this shit. I don't believe a word of it yet. Okay? You're going to see a ton of it. Don't believe a word of it. By the way, you see this right here? That's horseshit garbage. That's why you know it's full of shit. Cornerback Riley Moss in the 30th pick for Jalen Carter. Bro, like I said, if Howie's going to move Jalen Carter, it's going to be for people like Micah Parsons. Pick a great player that's in the league. You're not Riley fucking Moss. You don't even really have to look at that and go, that's full of shit. Myles Garrett. Right. Those are, when you're talking about moving a guy like Jalen Carter, you're talking about moving the preeminent dudes. You're not talking about fucking guys. Riley Moss in the 30th pick. Do you know what I would want from Denver with that move? I'd want Riley Moss, the 30th pick, and I'd want next year's first rounder too. And then I might return your phone call. Giving up Riley Moss in the 30th pick for Carter. You're fucking crazy. JSN. Trade Jalen Carter to no. I know you're joking, Forrest, but JSN and a first rounder and people like that and second and third. Yeah, that's what you're talking about. Anytime you throw the name Carter out, always think this. Neiman Marcus, Rolex, like top-end deal guys, Micah Parsons, Myles Garrett, some of the best pass rushers and defensive line. Like, get this, Quinnen Williams. I'm interested. Quinnen Williams is a better ball player right now. It doesn't necessarily mean that Carter one day couldn't be better, but he's not today. Quinnen Williams is a wrecking ball. Sweat was the best edge Howie drafted since BG. They don't have a great track record of drafting ends. I know this. That's why the majority of their ends have been Hassan Reddick, have been, they thought they were going to get it in Bryce Huff. They couldn't. And they brought in Jalen Phillips. Other than that, Jalen Hunt has actually Jalen Hunt and Brandon Graham have been the only edge rushers in the last 15 years that Howie Roseman has drafted that's worth the shit at that position. And if you think about it, the only corners that Howie drafted in the last 15 years has been Cooper DeJean and Q, and he got them in the same draft. Other than that, last 15 years, they've been dog shit too. And this is the comments that we had about him being a personnel guy when we first got here. And now he's totally gotten better. Like I said, sweat, and it looks like Hunt and BG have been the only guys in the last 15 years that they brought in to Philadelphia that were worth the shit at edge. Thinking Carter's shoulders might be worse than they have been reported. They would know. How about this? Like I said, maybe the Eagles went to Drew Rosenhaus and put a deal on the table, and they were absolutely disappointed in the contract extension at the money that the Eagles were talking. And I don't blame the Eagles. I would undercut them too. I'm not giving you $35 million. If you give Jalen Carter $35 million right now, you're overpaying for the guy. Because he's not giving you $35 million worth of effort. He had a real... Dude, 1 year doesn't mean you're great. Great players are consistent, like Fletcher Cox. Seals, the draft is a gamble like a poker table, and like the stock market too, by the way, I would say, Bob. I would. Howie's been on a hot streak, but the cards can turn. Nolan Smith is a bad bet. A bad beat when aces, but Malata is a huge win hitting the river. Yes. Yes. Texans signed Hunter for 1 year, $40 million. Trade Anderson for another DT. Some of the shit people say, man, I mean, I'm not trading Will Anderson for Will Anderson's the best football player on that team. And that includes Stingley. Will Anderson? Really? I'll trade Jalen Carter for that guy any day. Will Anderson? I'll take that guy. Will Anderson is going to be in a conversation maybe in the next 18 months with Micah Parsons. The guy's on the top defense in pro football right now. And there's no coincidence. Since he showed up with D'Amico Ryans and Stingley, Will Anderson is a freak show. Happy Friday to you, Big Sills. Parsons is overrated. He'd rather run his mouth than master his craft. I hate the fact that he can't play the run all that hot. Every time I watch Lane Johnson play against him, the guy throws him out of the club. You're acting like Fletcher Cox the first 3 years was dominant than Carter. I think Fletcher Cox is better against the run than Carter. Wasn't that one of the things I told Xander day one when I got here? The thing that I loved about Fletcher Cox over Aaron Donald, he was a two-way player. He could rush the passer, and he was one whale of a run stopper. Fletcher Cox was a motherfucker on the run. Okay? Did Dan comment on 97.5 trying to ratio his Alonzo Highsmith tweet with Philly's fake news? Happens all the time here. Is that right, Rasputin? Give me more detail. So let me get this right. No wonder somebody on my LinkedIn from Philly Sports went over there. We're robbing shit that we've been saying here. By the way, all the radio stations, according to Rio Hughes, especially the morning show and WIP, they watch the show every day so they can have content and topics for the next day. It's all good. Some of it's the greatest form of flattery, and I appreciate that. By the way, also Angelo told me that. Myles Garrett for Carter straight up? No, thank you. You'd have to give me a first-round pick for Garrett. Garrett and Carter for Carter in a first for Garrett? Yeah, I'm in. Carter for Myles Garrett? Myles Garrett's a first ballot Hall of Famer right now and still playing lights out ball. That ain't happening. With no source. Yeah. Gargano posted they offered a first and a third. It's actually a 2 and a 3, but okay. I like Anthony Gargano. He's all right. He's not the best. He's far from it. Oh, by the way, tomorrow on my sports grid, who are we getting on, Xander, tomorrow? What's the guy's name? We're getting on. He was the afternoon guy, a or a 97.5. What's the guy's name? Let's see here. Yeah, we're getting Tyrone Johnson on. Gonna have Tyrone on tomorrow. Sills, would Carter demand to a no trade only with draft picks? Carter has no demand. Carter has no leverage. He has no leverage in this. Okay? He's on a rookie contract. Has none. So wait a second. They tried to cancel his show because you spoke the truth. Now they're taking your content because they see you are bringing in views. Not only that, Devin, it's because we know folks. Here, Devin, just so you know, and Xander knows this, by the way, this is the #1 show. The other ones are fillers. So, listen. So I do this, 7, and then 6. That's 13 and 7. I book 20 people a week to come on my shows. I book 80 people a month to come on my programs. 80 people a month. Like over 900 people I put on a year on my shows. 900 people a year. Sills, after 26, Hurts's guarantees are gone. Do you think Nicole Lynn leveraged in the next negotiation if she asks for $65 per year? There's no way Jalen Hurts is making $65 million a year. Now, if he wins the Super Bowl this year, he'll get $65 million. I would say this. If Jalen Hurts, Mr. Hill, takes if he takes the Eagles to the NFC Championship game, you've got to think of paying him Dak money. Tyrone always talked down to people at 97.5. He thinks he knows more than he does. I'm looking forward to talking to him, man. Rasputin, 97.5 tried propping up YouTube's Philly by boasting a fake news post from Gargano with no source to credit his claim. The Patriots offered Howie to 1 and a 3, which he turned down. The whole point the last few years is to pair dominant defensive ends with Carter to wreck the league. Why the hell would they trade him? Makes no sense. Unless they got concerns about his shoulder. Or unless they got concerns about, his character. Guys, things change. Why would you trade Carson Wentz after giving Carson Wentz a $31 million a year deal? Howie Roseman in 1 year flip-flopped with Carson Wentz. They gave him the contract. The next year, they drafted Hurts in the second round. Why? They started flip-flopping. And then after the Seattle game, when he didn't want to go back in or wherever the hell it was, Howie was out on the guy. With all due respect, Tyrone, hey, that's to each his own. I'm not a talent scout here. Now, some people think I'm horrible. And some people think like M. Reyes, who comes here every day, says I suck, which is great. And I appreciate that, by the way. Big Sills, you suck. But I'm here every day for it. I appreciate that. The only way I trade AJ is to a perennial loser like Cleveland or the Jets, or for taking $32 million and complaining. That's not my way of getting my team better. I'm trading AJ Brown to the best place I could possibly trade him to. Or things change after you get news that Fangio is going to retire. That could change it too. Going to change schemes? I don't believe they're going to change schemes. All right, listen to this. So we agree. The reason why you're in this position at